Yeah, you have some pretty nice toys too. I've seen. You know,
Yeah.
do you have a Trinnov? Is that
I had my hands on a Trinnov. That
okay?
wasn't mine. So yeah.
All right, all right. Yeah, I thought I saw some. I know you have the Kaleidoscape.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you got some nice toys.
My theater setup, JVC projector, Seymour screen. I got all full cal 1000 series in walls, some Anthem processing, Parasound amplifiers. Got the K, Apple TV, custom gaming PC. It's all treated and finished and all that. Need some theater chairs. I really regret the couch over the theater chairs.
See, Jessica would love me to switch out theater chairs for a couch.
The family wants the couch, but like,
Go ahead. You could plug Valencia if you'd like, Michael. I know you're like the main Valencia.
It's crazy, man. I've only made like 6 videos for them, but they have sold so many stinking chairs. We're talking like nice $550,000 in theater seats.
Wow. When I saw that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And I don't even tell people to buy them. I'm like, look, these are cool chairs. If you're interested, you know, like we all do. Hey, here's a link down in the description. And so,
maybe I should replace this chair with like a Valencia chair.
That'd be dope, man.
Maybe, you know what I mean? Like every single chair I'm in is like a Valencia chair. That's what I need to do.
All over the house.
That's funny.
Oh, man. You know what? Because I did have some questions about the Trinnov. How long did you have that? And, you know, were you able to get a good idea since you do software stuff? And
Yep. Yeah. So I had it a few months, I think, altogether. I had it because a friend of mine, local friend of mine now, Dan DiCarlo, I've had him on my channel a couple times. We've live streamed together, but he's a custom integrator, home theater installer here in Southeast Michigan. And I met him when we built our house. Our general contractor recommended Dan as basically the tech sub for the house. So he did all of like our network wiring and all the techie infrastructure basically of the home. And we hit it off as kind of friends right off the bat, into the same interest and all that. So he had that actually come through his hands kind of for like another client, another project of his. And he's like, I'm going to have this Trinnov for a little while, and I don't need to put it in the install yet. You want to play around with it? I'm like, yes, please. I'll come get it right now. Where are you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I put it in, and it's kind of funny actually, because I think that was some of the earliest videos I think that I put out on the channel a year ago. And in some ways, I think I was a little hard on it because I struggled with the UI a bit. And I think that one of the things that I talk about, I think a lot with my content, is coming from a development background and kind of understanding, as a computer engineer, right? Understanding software. I build interfaces, I build UIs and oversee the construction of those all the time. So I think I've got a pretty good design sense for like the way software should look, the way software interfaces should operate, and the way that they should present themselves and be intuitive and so on. And I found the Trinnov to be a little tough to use actually, but the kind of the saving grace to it is that interface isn't meant to be a really nice thing for an end user. Like Anthem, in my opinion, has one of the best device interfaces around. Like the web UI is excellent. Trinnov is a lot more raw. It's really made for the integrator to work with as a power user that knows the ins and outs. And so it wasn't designed kind of with that sensibility in mind. But I mean, that device itself is such a powerhouse. And I would say I only barely scratched the surface of it because I kind of tinkered with it on my own for a bit. Yeah. So I had to learn a couple things as I was playing. I think a regular, full-blown Trinnov install would be properly supported and be hands-on with a pro that knows the ins and outs of the device and what they're doing with it. But
yeah, well, I always say, the hardest thing is to make something simple. And I've read through the manual on Trinnov, and I'm like, that does so much.
Yeah.
That in order to make that look really easy for just a normal person, they're gonna have to like close off. Like, okay, don't look at this. This is just too much. There's got to be a simple and an advanced section. There's just no way to simplify that much.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there's just a lot of stuff that it can do. Right. So I get why. I don't think they have a huge team. Also.
I've seen the same back end of Storm Audio is very similar to that. It's like you look at it and you're kind of overwhelmed. Like, what do I click on? There's I mean, you can do just about everything in it, but you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so it's made for somebody that's been trained on it, really.
Yeah, for sure.
I do have a question about the remapping because I'm very curious how that works. I've never actually played with a Trinnov, but their whole thing is, I don't know if they say this specifically, but they make it sound as if you can put a phantom speaker somewhere. If you don't have a speaker here, we can create a speaker there. We can just make it seem like it's that. Now, would you say that it's actually making a phantom speaker, or is it just routing the correct signal to the speakers based on where they're at? Because those are two different things, right? Let's say if your speakers are not in the optimal place, all right, well, route the signal based on the angle that it's at, etc. That's different than I'm going to create a phantom speaker somewhere where it's going to trick your brain into thinking the speaker's actually there. What do you think?
I think if I recall correctly, like the way the software worked, there is like kind of that 3D map, and you get the little boxes, and you can place things around, right? And I guess manipulate and manage more so, I think, where things are routed in terms of like controlling the system and sending certain sounds certain places, rather than creating like specifically phantom elements, if I recall correctly. But that's a little bit under the umbrella of like the more advanced features that I didn't get too far into. Like I did a lot of the general setup. I ran the optimizer. They had this, the crazy multi-prong microphone that is more expensive than most most preamplifiers on its own. And kind of ran through the systems like that, and then just ran with whatever kind of base calculations and such that it made from that pass.
Okay. Yeah, it's just I'm kind of messing with something like that on my computer system, where I can kind of reroute things to where they're supposed to go, right? And it was one of the topics that I brought up last time, where on Dolby's panner, we've been making stuff in Atmos, and if I pan something hard left, that's at minus 45 degrees on the visual panner, and then right is 45 degrees, right? But we're told that left and right is supposed to be at 30 degrees, which is interesting because, visually I'm thinking that it's going to go, angularly, so 0 center channel, and then 45 degrees is where I think right is visually. But then I have to think to myself, hold on a second, where am I supposed to put this really, right? Because this is, if I pan hard right, that's going to go to the right speaker, which is probably going to be at 30 degrees. So what happens? What is correct? Right. And I was wondering if that's maybe what Trinnov is able to do, is maybe make that correction where it says like, okay, I know that you initially wanted over here. I know the speaker's here, but I'm gonna add a little bit of surround right, or right wide, to kind of put that at the right angle. I guess some test tones would verify that. If I play right signal, is it going to play only out of one speaker, or is it going to play a little bit on that other speaker there to kind of fill it in? Any ideas?
Yeah, I think I believe that that's what the calculations are trying to do. But I'm not. I don't want to completely misstate what it's doing. But my understanding is that engine is based a whole lot on figuring out where things are supposed to go, and engaging the field that you have, the speaker array that you have to make those splits and put things to the best of its ability with far more horsepower than anybody else has, beside maybe Storm.
Right. It actually doesn't take that much power on the computer. It's something that you kind of have to do once, but it's not dynamic. It doesn't have to change too much once it's figured it all out. So anyway, why is everybody so surprised that you're smiling? Is that something? Is that a thing that I don't know about? That you?
It's the engineer in you, man.
I don't know. Are you talking about me?
Smiled. Like, what is that a big? He smiled.
I said Aaron is smiling.
Oh, Aaron. Aaron doesn't.
Oh, he was saying both. He said we must be doing something right. We got Jaremy to smile.
Oh man, how do you make the engineer smile? Is that like a?
I feel like that's a riddle.
Yeah. How do you make them smile?
You don't. They don't.
Yeah. I don't know. They have to talk to one another. They probably say something like real smart, and all of us are like, beep, boop.
It's just code, man. Up here. They're so intelligent, Joe, they don't even have to talk. It's going from wherever that one to that.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, just data, just pure data.
Right. It's just transmission, man.
I'm blinking.
This is the blink rate. Got that? All right. All right. So anything else with the Trinnov calibration before we get off that topic that you thought was like, oh, that's something different, or maybe a result that like that sounds different than my existing system in better or worse way? What did you notice? Because we don't all get to play with Trinnov, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's the reason I'm so interested.
Yeah, I know, but it's tough because I'm going off acoustical memory that's close to a year old now. What I can say is I pulled out a Marantz AV7704 to put the Trinnov in, and things definitely got more cohesive, I guess. I think the Trinnov was a very clear winner over what Odyssey and that was doing at the time. I think since then, in this year in particular, I've gotten a lot better at, I guess, concepts of audio calibration, and mostly because I've spent a lot more time with Anthem Arc than I did with the Trinnov. So I'd really love to actually get my hands on a Trinnov again, because I think I'd be in a better position now to give it more of an evaluation than the first time.
Makes sense.
But it's the pinnacle.
Well, yeah. Well, I figure for the price, I don't care if it was a year, 2 years ago, you better hear that difference. That's the way I would feel. It better be noticeable. Like, oh man, it's amazing.
I think too, one of the other things that the impression that I left with it as well is like, if you have a really complex space, right? And particularly you're using all like 15 channels or umpteen 20 channels that the thing can support. And you really need that extra power and extra capability to manage a room at that level, then that device is doing more. So in my opinion, I kind of gave it back to my friend with an idea that like, I've got like right now 7.2.4 setup, at least in my current space. I'm not going, to 15 channels. I might add a couple more subwoofers at some point, but my room doesn't really have anything all that super challenging with regards to it. Like my speakers are kind of all in the right spots. So, I think in some ways all that extra capability is a little bit lost on a system of where the room is pretty solid. The speaker count is, still up there, but manageable. So
I hear that.
My general take is I think my end game processor would probably be an Anthem AVM90, and I'd be set for a long time.
If you're interested in joining us in the after show, you can visit patreon.com/daily HiFi. We'd love to hang out with you and get to know you better. We're going to have a lot of fun.